I want to talk about something that's going to determine whether your team starts 2026 energized or already burnt out. Here's the thing about Q4. It's when the culture gets tested. It's when the pressure is on. It's when everyone is tired. It's when deadlines are looming. That's when you discover what your culture actually is versus what you might think it is. Welcome to Legacy Lounge, the podcast where you'll discover how to lead with purpose and build a legacy that matters. So if you're ready to step into your full potential, show up authentically for yourself and others, and create a lasting impact on the world, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Hey there, and welcome back to the Legacy Lounge. I'm your host, Brin'na Rollins Williams, and we are in that intense final stretch of Q4 right now. Everyone is talking about hitting the numbers, closing the deals, finishing the year strong, but I want to talk about something that's going to determine whether your team starts 2026 energized or already burnt out. It's through your culture. Specifically, what is happening inside of your team right now. I posted something yesterday that really hit a nerve with a lot of people. And it was a statement that said, you can't create external loyalty with internal dysfunction. The responses have been pretty telling, if I do say so myself. So many leaders are saying, ouch, that's us, or I think my team is struggling, but I don't know how to fix it. I'm just out here doing what I do. Here's the thing about Q4. It's when the culture gets tested. It's when the pressure is on. It's when everyone is tired. It's when deadlines are looming. That's when you discover what your culture actually is versus what you might think it is. So let me tell you about a moment I had myself at Target. And it was something that taught me this lesson in the most painful way possible. December 2018. We were in the middle of our biggest sales period. I was focused on the metrics, the performance, and making sure that we hit our numbers. I knew I was going through interviews to promote to a district senior director. And I was trying to hold it all together to keep the outside looking tight and be the strong leader that I knew I was supposed to be. And then one of my own team leaders, someone who I very much so respected, asked to speak with me privately. And she said, Brin'na, I got to tell you something. The team is really struggling right now, and people are scared to take their break. So they're working through lunch. As she told me this, she started to cry. And she said, I even caught one of them yesterday crying in the stock room because she was afraid to ask for help because she didn't want to be seen as a bottom performer. And I was shocked because that's the type of thing that I was doing behind the scenes by myself, but it broke my heart to recognize that it was happening under my own leadership in my own building, and I had no idea. And I said back, I'm curious why she was so upset because we are hitting the numbers. Why does she think she's a bottom performer? And in a roundabout way, this same statement comes up years later as a district senior director as well. But in that moment, it wasn't about the numbers. It was about the leader who makes the team feel like they matter. And it hit me like a truck. I had been so focused on the external results that I completely missed the internal dysfunction that it was costing my team to achieve those same results. I was creating it and fostering it in my environment. And that's when I learned that you can't create external loyalty with internal dysfunction. Your customers who are in your building choosing to spend their money on things that you sell will never love your brand more than your own team can. Your clients will never be more engaged than your employees are. Your culture is your ceiling in business. So as we're in this final Q4 push, I want to do something that might feel pretty uncomfortable, but take an honest look at what's happening inside of your team. And here are some questions that I put into play right after that conversation in my office with myself. I had to ask every leader that I was coaching in a positive developmental way during the most stressful time of year to get the raw, real truth. So the first question you could ask is, how do your people feel about showing up to work on Monday morning? Not what they tell you in the meeting, but what they actually are feeling. Are they energized? Are they dragging? Are they stressed out? Do they know that the plans aren't good? And how do we backtrack to fix those? Another good question to ask is, when your team has a problem, do they bring it to you early, or do they try to handle it themselves until it becomes a crisis? That tells you all you need to know about psychological safety. And the last question is, are your high performers talking about staying and growing with you, or are they quietly updating their LinkedIn profiles until something better comes along? Because if your team went home tonight and their family sat across from them at the dinner table and they said, "How was your day today?" What story would they tell about how your leadership influenced them in a supportive way or a dismissive way? That right there is the definition of the culture that you are running. Through Legacy Fulfilled, I coach a lot of clients, and I recently had one named David who was also crushing his Q4 numbers, but losing his best people unexpectedly. So frustrating and heartbreaking, but also very transparent. When I started to ask some of these questions, he realized that he had been managing the metrics instead of leading the humans who were responsible to deliver the metrics. And we did a super simple exercise, and he went through his team leaders and he asked each one of them, what's one thing I could do differently to make your work experience a little bit better? And the answers were pretty eye-opening. People were not asking for more money or even better benefits. They wanted to feel heard. They wanted clarity on the priorities when things got chaotic. They wanted to know that their work mattered beyond just hitting the numbers of the sales on Black Friday or Small Business Saturday or Cyber Monday or all 30 plus days in the month. That they matter. Their work matters for more than just the numbers as they update. So my client, David, decided to make 3 little shifts, and he started each meeting by acknowledging somebody's specific contribution. And he created a priority clarity list, and he would check in every Friday. And he instituted the no email after 6 p.m. during Q4 boundary. If it can be an email, it's an email, not a call. If it's an urgent matter or an emergency, you call twice and he knows to get into action. Other than that, there's no reason to add additional stress to the retail teams in Q4. And the result has been pretty eye-opening. Not only are they hitting their numbers, but their team engagement is through the roof. And every single person has stayed on his team since. It's not even a question about if they are interested in leaving. It's how they can do more because they love the boss they work for. They feel heard, they feel seen, and they know that they are valued beyond what they are delivering. So if you know your culture is holding on by a thread, I challenge you to implement this week. Have one real conversation with your direct reports, not about performance, not about the deadlines, but about them as people. How are they feeling? What do they need? What's working? What's not? And actually listen. Listen more than you talk. And then act on what you hear. Because that's the truth. Your Q4 numbers matter for this moment, this quarter. But your culture, that determines everything that is possible in 2026. That determines what happens the entire next year. So before you worry more about customer love, make sure that your people are loved by being there too. Until next time, keep building cultures that people fight to join. And remember, you've got this, and I'm right here beside you. This is Brin'na, and I'll catch you on the next episode of the Legacy Lounge. Thanks for listening. That's it for this episode of Legacy Lounge, a podcast dedicated to empowering you to lead with purpose. Remember, leadership begins with you. When you're connected to your values, strengths, and authentic self, you show up powerfully for your team, businesses, and everyone you lead. To authentically lead others, you must first lead yourself. I challenge you to consider, how are you investing in your personal growth to create a legacy that you envision? Thank you for joining me in the Legacy Lounge. If this episode sparked any thoughts or inspired action, I'd love to hear from you. I'm your host, Brin'na Rollins Williams. Connect with me on LinkedIn or other socials, and let's continue the conversation. Remember, your legacy is built one intentional step at a time.